Making money? Let's make the phone check. Lights, cameras.
This is swanky. This is lifestyle. This is culture. Welcome to the social center of everything culture. Culture Daily.
It is time for a big conversation, and if you are just joining us, sorry to tell you that you've missed about 2.5 hours of the show. But in our last 30 minutes of the show, we're going to be speaking to David William Nyantechi. Okay, I'm going to just skip the other name. Sorry, I don't want to butcher people's names. So yes, we're going to be speaking to him on the legal battles over streaming rights and then the impact on content consumption and monetization. Okay, of course, Kojo Trip and Isilfa are seated, and he's also here as well. Let's welcome him.
Let's welcome him.
Yes, but before we talk IPs, which also mean people earning money or losing money, let's make some money in-house. All right?
Could you want to take it first?
Of course, because I mean, you need to place a bet to make money before you can get your clients.
Before
Right?
do anything else.
Yes, of course. So it says we've all been there. You've placed a perfect multi-bet and it's all going your way until it's not, and one or more picks let you down. Well, with Betway's Bet Saver feature, you can win even if your bet misses. Even on multiple losses, you can get your bet back and more. Bet Saver exclusive to Betway. Get way more. Terms and conditions apply. Regulated by the Gaming Commission of Ghana. Bet the responsible way. Betway, get way more.
Course, get way more. Now, Cleanse Soap says protect yourself from germs and bacteria with confidence. Cleanse hand soap effectively kills 99.9% of germs with every use. Perfect for all your hand washing movements throughout the day. Available in a variety of invigorating variants and delightful flavors: aloe vera, strawberry, vanilla and honey, antibacterial and chocolate. Choose a favorite for yourself, your family and your friends. Make Cleanse your daily essential. Stay clean with Cleanse, the GC brand. It's all about you.
Yes, all about you, most definitely. And then also Telecel has you in mind when they say you should participate in the Telecel More Money promo. About 50 people have already won 30,000 Ghana cedis, which I'm sure they are excited about. But a million Ghana cedi is up for grabs, and it can be you winning that grand prize. All you need to do is to keep reloading your data, your airtime, or your fixed broadband to get you closer to your dreams of becoming a millionaire. And then also, the more you reload, the better your chances of winning. You don't want to miss out on this once in a lifetime opportunity. You can dial *500# or send win to 500, or if you want to opt in for free, you can do that on Telecel's Play app. Join the Telecel More Money promo now and make your 2025 a very delightful one for you. Terms and conditions apply, of course, and the promo is regulated by NLA on the Caritas Lottery platform. Remember that with Telecel, we connect energies. Talking about connecting energies, now when you make all the money, okay, and then you get your hands clean and all of that, what would you do with that money? Lancaster is calling on you. You also get to enjoy a British degree at a fraction of the cost, up to about 50% off of tuition, and that is exciting. You also get to learn in a vibrant student community, and this equips you with useful employability skills and takes you a step closer to the career of your dreams. You also get to be taught by UK trained lecturers, I beg your pardon, in their ultra modern campus. For more information, you can visit www.lancaster.edu.gh, or you can send email to admissions@lancaster.edu.gh, or you can call 020-960-7008. That's 020-960-7008. Lancaster University is the only British university campus in West Africa. So yes, grab that opportunity today. I beg your pardon, talking about grabbing opportunities, right? Some people grab opportunities that some people have worked hard for, okay, and see it as the leeway to making easy money. We don't like that. We don't like that, okay? And that is the conversation we are about having with David William Nantichi. Hello, David. You're welcome.
Hi, Lenny.
Hello, David.
Okay.
Hello, Trip.
Are you two going to go on like this?
I really have no idea what the whole excitement. I really don't understand it.
Should
But
really be doing too much right now.
I'm glad for him. I'm actually glad for him.
Should we leave the show for the two of you?
I don't
I'm
know.
happy to meet him.
It's nice to
especially
meet
because he has expertise on IP and I'm
IP.
very interested.
Right.
Yeah,
it's
as an
not-
artist, right? Yeah, but I mean, all of us in here are creative, so sometimes we also use people's songs and stuff like that. But first, let's start by understanding what IP or intellectual property is.
Okay, to put it loosely, very loosely, so that the average listener can understand, IP is a branch of law that protects products that are created as a result of human intellect. So when you put your mind to making something and you come up with an invention, a song, whatever it is that you come up with as a result of putting your mind to it, IP law is the law that regulates it, speaking quite broadly. And it has many facets of it. So there's trademarks, there's patents, there's copyrights, industrial designs. But I think looking at today's topic, the relevant one would be copyright, because it's the branch of IP law that really regulates music. So that's like in a nutshell what
Okay.
IP law is.
Okay, so nowadays I see that a lot more people write under posts when they use the songs that I don't own rights
the rights.
to the music, and I'm like, yeah, I think that we know that. We are,
It's a bit obvious. Yeah.
we are well aware
Yep.
that
Yeah.
you are not the one who sang the song, right? But what's the importance of doing that as well? Especially also because the artists put these songs on socials for us to use and consume, right? Why do I have to now state or be emphatic about the fact that I don't own rights to using the song?
I just want to say this. Music as a wing under copyright law is one of the most nuanced aspects of copyright law. And much of these issues we face has to do with the fact that there's not enough public awareness or education about the subject matter. So what I want to do right now, if I can have the time to do it, is
You have the
to
time.
give like a crash course on music rights generally,
Okay.
not just streaming.
Okay.
So that you understand certain things.
Okay, let's do that then.
So when it comes to copyrights generally, there are two main types of rights that the creators or the authors of copyrightable subject matter have. And they are moral rights and then economic rights, broadly speaking.
Okay.
The moral rights deal with the author's rights to paternity, as in claim ownership, not ownership per se, but then authorship of the work, that he's the one that came up with the work, right? That's moral rights, loosely defined.
Okay.
And then there's economic rights. That one deals with the money, the kudi. So the economic rights, it's really where much of the trouble comes from. Regarding the question you asked me right now, it's more of a moral rights issue.
Okay.
They are saying that, yeah, I'm not the one who created it. But typically that's not what the author's concern is. He's looking at the economic opportunities that are arising out of whatever you've done going viral and whatnot. So I think the focus of the discussion would be centered on the economic rights aspects of music. That's where much of the confusion comes. Now,
Right.
if I could crave your indulgence, I want you to play a song, any song at all right now. Any song at all.
You see, that's what I'm coming to, because because we also want to upload on YouTube, you know, without any qualms or whatever.
Yeah.
We'll get into talking about that. We can't play the song.
Sure,
Okay?
sure.
So just play any song at all.
Yeah.
But because of what you've just brought up and what we are coming to do,
Yeah.
we'll talk about, you know, the rights that the user has and the rights that the artist also
or
have.
the creator
Where
has,
one person's right starts and ends, and where the other starts and
Yeah.
ends.
So the song that was playing, you heard various elements of that song. You heard someone vocalizing lyrics. You heard beats. You heard instrumentals. Even the lyrics are sung in a particular melody or harmony, right? Now, because of the nature of music, so when you create a song, two main types of economic rights are potentially realizable from that music.
Yeah.
And they are classified or categorized as master rights and publishing rights. I'm sure you're familiar with these concepts, right? With the master rights, it's the rights that relate to the sound recording as a whole that you are hearing. And with the publishing rights, that's where it gets a bit more nuanced, because it relates to the various underlying elements of the composition, the lyrics,
So all
the
the things that
melody,
bring the song together.
harmony, everything you are hearing. So the two key actors when it comes to publishing rights, you would find the composers, the songwriters, and the publishers. And then when it comes to the sound recording, typically the performing artist, that's if he's independent. But if he's signed to a record label, then it will be the label and the artist when it comes to the sound recording. So let me first deal with the more traditional aspect of music rights, which is the publishing rights. So with the publishing rights, this is how they make money from the composition. They make it through various avenues, right? Let me mention some of them: mechanical licenses, public performance licenses, sheets, selling of sheet music, synchronization licenses, cover licenses, and whatnot. But the main ways
Is merch part?
merch doesn't really deal with the music, more of the
Directly.
image associated with the brand that they market. Yeah, but I'm talking about the music properly, so called. Yeah. So with the various avenues I just mentioned, right? There are two main ways that are important that we have to understand. That's mechanical licenses and then public performance licenses. We are still on publishing rights. So yeah. So with mechanical licenses, so this is what happens. The songwriter composes the song, right? Now he or she does not typically have the resources to exploit the composition. So they engage a publisher who presumably has more ways of reaching out to people too. Now the publisher reaches out to a performing artist or a label and then sells that composition for the artist to be able to mechanically reproduce on a record. That's where the mechanical name comes from. Yeah, because it's written. So they mechanically reproduce the composition. And for them to be able to have the rights to do that, they need a license, a mechanical license. Take this song, You Are Not Alone, Michael Jackson. He didn't write that song. It was written by Robert Kelly. R. Kelly. Now, anytime that song plays on the radio and whatnot, R. Kelly gets a cut from the composition from his publishers. But Michael Jackson owns the sound recording. So that's for the mechanical licenses and mechanical royalties aspect. Then the other popular type of publishing rights would be public performance. That's where key actors like CMOs come in. So this is the case. Sometimes your songs would be played in large commercial.
But for those who don't know what a CMO is,
I'll explain. Don't worry, I'll explain. Sometimes your songs are played in a large commercial space, like a restaurant, a nightclub, or even on TV, on air, like it is currently, right? Yep. And the publisher can't go from every other commercial space to the other asking them to pay. So they use the central collective management organizations, and they are typically bodies or associations that collect publishing royalties on behalf of artists and publishers, loosely put. In Ghana, we have the infamous GAMRO, but in more structured societies, we have...
How you are all laughing.
Right.
Yeah.
Sad.
I'm not an anti-GAMRO person, by the way.
None of us are.
Just to the fact. So in other more structured society countries like UK, PRS, PPL, in America we have BMI, ASCAP, and whatnot. So the publisher issues what you call a performance license to the CMO, and then the CMO in turn issues a blanket license to these commercial spaces. And then when they make the money, it trickles all the way down
Okay.
to the composer.
So
That's another way.
my question will be then that for those who, they say that we have recording artists, we have performing artists, and then we have a blend of both,
Yeah.
right? For those who are strictly recording artists and
Yeah.
for those who are strictly performing artists, how would this apply?
So it doesn't apply. So I'm still on publishing. For recording and performing artists, they deal with the master rights aspect. So that avenue is totally different from publishing. So if you didn't compose, you didn't write the song, you have no business in publishing.
That's okay.
Exactly. So let's come to the master rights then. So with master rights, typically there will be a song composed. If it's composed by the same person who's performing, then sometimes referred to as a controlled composition.
So
And
that
then
will apply.
That would apply then. But if it is not the same person who wrote it, then you are just a performer and you deal with master rights, royalties from the masters. Okay, so this is how it happens. The indie artist or the signed artist would typically, back in the day, when digital streaming and wasn't popular, what they used to do is they manufacture the CDs and sell the physical copies, and then the monies made from the physical sales of those CDs are what you would typically get as your master royalties, right? But after the advent of digital streaming and technology and social media and whatnot, now we have digital streams. So we have master royalties from digital streams. We have digital purchases, even like iTunes. You can actually purchase a song as opposed to just the streaming on Spotify, Apple Music, and whatnot.
Which indirectly, if you even want the free one or you want the paid one, you also pay for that.
Exactly.
Or the other.
Exactly. So this is the distinction between publishing and masters.
Okay.
In well-structured
Society.
I don't know why I keep stressing on well-structured, but it's a
No,
fact.
but it's
Yeah.
important that we
In
also
well-structured
say,
societies, there are agencies and bodies for all this. When it comes to master rights, for instance, in the US, Harry Fox agency would regulate the royalties that's trickle from mechanical licenses and all that between the recording companies and then the composers and then whatnot. But unfortunately, on our side of the world, it's not as structured.
do that.
But yeah, this is just, I think, the foundation we need to have whatever conversation that we
what's
need.
the
we need to.
importance of an artist or a creative owning their the properties or their music, or having full ownership, of whatever bodies of work they put out there, and then also pushing for some revenue when it comes to that as well?
So the importance of that, I would say, is having control, especially economic control, when it comes to making money or generating revenue from work that you have put in. Everyone wants to be paid for what their work is worth, right? So if you own it, of course, then you have 100% say in how money is generated from it and whatnot. But unfortunately, that's not the reality on the ground, because you can own it all right, but you'll not be able to rack up the streams and then get the kind of exposure that people who are signed may be able to achieve. I don't know if you get what I mean. So it's important, but depending on what economic status you find yourself you might need to cede a bit of your rights to someone else to assist you in getting you where you want to be. So maybe one day when you are where you want to be, you want to start your own thing, that's fine.
Okay, so I want to ask about selling your IP. Some people, like we're talking about, depending on your economic status at a point, when people start off, they write songs and they give it off to people, and later in life they come and say, but I wrote this song and I wrote it. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, you don't have any paperwork to it.
Yes, there's no paperwork to it. What are some of the things to consider when an artist wants to sell off their IP, especially maybe as songwriters or even backing vocalists? Yeah,
it's a good question, because it's one of the things that many people do not know. And I think gradually creatives are becoming aware of the need to have paperwork. Under the Copyright Act, the copyright law generally is very territorial, all right? As much as it has been internationalized now due to conventions and whatnot. It's pretty much still territorial. So what your country's legislation would say about copyright will to a large extent determine what you are entitled to and how you can enforce your rights as an artist. And in Ghana, we have the Copyright Act of 2005. It's Act 960. That's the short title. 690. And Drip, you started a course in IP.
He's a rapper, so he
I see. Thanks for the correction. Before I go back and my voice is on my case. Anyway, so the Copyright Act actually states that if you want to assign, it's called assignment, when you are transferring all your interests. There are different ways of transferring. You can even lease your interest, like the way you would rent a house.
Okay.
Yeah.
You can lease your interest for a specific period, and then the person will be paying royalties. You can also assign, that you are selling the whole thing. You don't retain anything. Anytime you are assigning, anytime you are doing a type of transfer of copyright, whether it's economic, whether it's moral rights, you need to have it in writing and signed. Otherwise, it would be unenforceable, especially if it's just oral. The law says it has to be in writing. So that's one key thing. So that's why I often advise artists and creatives that if you, no matter what, even if you don't have money to engage a lawyer, just put something in writing, splits, whatever, have it in writing, because any other thing would be very difficult to establish that you transferred your rights. Or
they also say that if you have a verbal agreement, it's also binding.
agreement.
it's binding, but when legislation comes in, the legislation will take precedence over that norm.
what's written.
Yeah, because the lawmakers have actually emphatically stated that you have to put it in writing.
In
Yeah.
this sale as well, you mentioned leasing, right? For
Yeah.
people who want to sell off their catalogs,
Mhm.
because we hear stories of people
Yeah.
just wanting
Yeah.
to sell it off. I think Justin Bieber some time
Yeah, he
ago,
did that
there
quite
was
recently.
Yeah.
there was that story as well. Is it possible to also lease your catalog for a while?
I mean, one thing in the law of contract is party autonomy. As far as you are not breaching any laws, you are not doing something contrary to public policy, pretty much parties are at liberty to negotiate and conclude whatever contracts they want to. So if you want to, let's say, transfer your rights to someone for a specific period of time, subject to payment of royalties or whatever, you are allowed to.
Okay.
You are allowed to.
Yeah.
So let me give you an example. Beat makers, people who create instrumentals for musicians, they are typically composers. And this is one thing many people do not know. They are typically composers because their beat is part of the underlying composition of the overall song, right? And one thing about beat makers, they have different kinds of arrangements that they use to sell their beats. So they have beat leases, they have beat licenses, they have actual assignments where they sell off. So what I've noticed, especially with beat makers, is they like to lease a lot.
I was going to ask about leasing a beat.
Yes.
because
Yeah.
After you lease the beat and someone has
Also
made
use-
So
the
they have
beat
different
and all
kinds.
of
So
that,
they-
how would you
yeah, so
take it back?
typically leases are premium in the sense that it's exclusive.
Okay.
So I lease the beat to you, pay money, and then we agree on royalty payments in terms of publishing. But I'm not allowed to give that same beat to
Resell.
someone
Someone
else.
else.
There's usually a clause
Okay.
in that contract that you can't,
Okay.
for the duration or the subsistence of this agreement, lease this beat to someone else, unless maybe I am not paying you what I'm due and I've breached the contract. That way you terminate it and then you
Have someone else.
Yeah.
use
So
it.
I my question would be on CMOs, right? Like Gamro and all of that. What in your opinion do you think is the barrier when it comes to enforcing IP or
In terms of
rights
music
in terms
collection.
of, yes, music collection in Ghana currently? What is the barrier? What is the reason behind these CMOs not being able to serve their actual purpose and their function?
Lord knows. I don't like pointing fingers at people. At the end of the day, I feel like Gamma is not the only body, well, per the law anyway. We are all at liberty to form our own organizations, right, that would collect our music or whatever. So if Gamma is failing, I mean, they shouldn't be the only remedy, because clearly they were doing a terrible job, as much as I don't like pointing fingers. But it also boils down to sensitization of the public on what these rights are in the first place. And many people think Gamma is, a governmental institution that is the only one mandated to, but that's not the case. It's possible to form alternative, but people don't really know this. And I really don't know why, but I would usually attribute it to the fact that we need to, first of all, educate ourselves about the laws, the rights available to us, the remedies, so that we don't always act like Gamma is our last solution to everything.
Okay. Since you've clarified that, I also want to cite an example. When Stonebwoy's song JJJ came out, I think Screwface also came out to make certain allegations about him jacking his stuff.
The similarities.
The similarities in there. In a case where he's unable to provide evidence or concrete evidence, but he points out similarities, and you can hear for yourself as a listener. In a situation or in an instance like that, what do you do, or what are the processes that you have to follow to ensure that if you are deserving of any economic benefits, you are able to get that? Because we have some songs, not of I mean, it might not be intentional, but you might copy off of somebody's intellectual property without even realizing it, because obviously Stonebwoy is a lover of music. He's probably has several influences, and that could be a memory thing. He probably didn't copy the song, but it just kind of found himself
which is
making
a thing
melody,
that happens with a number
lot,
of people.
a lot. So
there's
it's just, I think it has to do with creativity and ideation, right?
Yes.
That's why they say
you can't
you can't
you can't
Honey,
reinvent
you
the
have the
wheel.
idea and think, I'm going to do it. You relax, someone has done it.
yeah.
But you haven't probably spoken to the person.
So in an
before,
instance
so,
like that, how
there's a really perfect solution for this thing, right? Where you call me, pay me a big fat check, and then I'm just kidding. I like this question because this one thing allow me to digress just a little bit. There's one thing I've noticed about music disputes. They usually don't end up in court, and the ones that do end up in court typically are not concluded because people don't like the bad rep that comes with being the litigator in the entertainment industry. People, get investors and whatnot. So they usually settle outside of court. And the problem that creates is, like you said, there's lack of evidence. And that generates speculation as to what to do. And the general public's like, who is wrong, who is right?
Okay.
What I think the solution to this thing is, actually, it sounds a bit self-serving, but it's a fact. Actually engage lawyers to explain your rights to you, because the situation you just explained to me, I'm not so familiar with that particular Stonebwoy issue, but I don't know, was there an interpolation issue? He didn't use the exact sound, right? But he created his own sound, and then they are saying you've stolen, sort of like the this eternity issue, right? So it's something associated with a breach of a publishing rights, because it's dealing with the underlying composition, a harmony and melody of an original, copyrighted work. So someone is claiming that your work infringes upon my original composition, and you should have asked me for either a cover license, because a cover license would cover something like this. You are making a cover. It's not necessarily the same thing, but it's inspired by mine. You're making a sort of a derivative or a variation of my original composition. You get what I mean?
Yeah.
So you should have come for a cover license.
Okay.
Something
now,
like
in
that.
cases where these cover licenses are not requested, right? How does, for the sake of time,
Sure.
I'm sure we'll do a part 2 of this,
we
because
have
it's already
to.
10 a.m., right? So, yes, that's a promise from us to you. We'll do a part 2.
No problem.
But our last question will be how an artist can protect their intellectual property, especially with the up-and-coming artists, right? Because you find somebody who has a really, really good song, but has not been able to push it so much because obviously they may not have the money to, do that promo. And then an established artist who has the money will now pick that song and then make it theirs in whatever way, right? So how do artists protect their
right.
intellectual property?
Most people, when you ask them this question, they would say register it. But I'll tell you the truth. Registration of your copyright would not, first of all, derogate from the fact that people would still breach your copyright if they want to. And even in Ghana, registration is not requisite for copyright protection, right? It's just good for the evidential purposes if your matter ends up in court, right?
Okay.
What I'll tell artists that are coming up especially is that you need a team. You can't do it all by yourself. You need at least a manager who knows what he's doing. Not just a manager who has money to finance you, but a manager who has the connections and also knows the formalities associated with the music business. Because going viral on the internet is not what will give you economic sustainability. You need to understand the music business, and that invariably, again, this may sound self-serving, but you need lawyers. You need lawyers. You need lawyers. I won't lie to you. You need a lawyer on your team. You need a manager, and then if you want that reach, you need a distributor. So the distributor would work on the exploitation of the master rights, get you on streaming platforms and whatnot. And then the publisher will make sure your composition, if you're a songwriter, is protected. So these are like 4 essential parties that you need to protect. And then always make sure your lawyer would advise you, if it's worth it, so to have everything in writing. When you are having a distribution agreement, the lawyer will review to make sure that everything is protected. When you're having a publishing agreement, same thing. Even your manager, what I've realized most artists like to do is this boys thing, where they have their friend managing them. I see it all the time
From the start. Also, you can understand, because I think that when they are starting, you need people who believe in you so much that they are not requesting for any amount of money to be on your team. I think that also that's why some people do it. Because if you believe in me and you believe in the dream, I can sell you the dream and then you come with me along the journey. What I also find is along the line, these boys also sometimes, they now get some level of training or understanding on the job, and then they know what they are about. That's why I'm going to still emphasize on sometimes. Some people just still go with it.
But there's a dark side to that, because when they start understanding it, they also start understanding ways they can make the money without you being involved.
Without the artists being involved. Wow. Okay, we are going to leave it at that. Okay, and then David, we are going to have you back.
No problem.
Sometime next week
No
to
problem.
just finish the part 2 of this conversation.
Very
Hopefully, we have much more time to just dig all the way in. We've been speaking to David William Nyantechi.
William
who
is fine. I don't want you to hurt.
I shouldn't mention the whole thing. He's the legal
William is really
associate.
fine.
He's a legal associate, BMP associate, and yes, we are going to get into the conversation more next week, like I have already said. But it is time to go, okay? And we've been doing a lot of laughing and smiling since the show started at 7 a.m. But if you don't have, good teeth to do that, please just grab you some Pepsodent toothpaste, okay? Because you don't want to be laughing and you're doing this all the time.
The halitosis,
Because we don't want that. We just don't want that. Do you also know that every time you eat food and sugars get trapped in your teeth? Well, if you don't know, now you know. This may lead to tooth decay, gum disease, and in some cases, foul breath. You have to brush your teeth morning and night, please. If you don't do that, just grab your Pepsodent charcoal or herbal toothpaste, and it will help you whiten your teeth and have fresh breath. Pepsodent charcoal is filled with a fine blend of fluoride, a unique combination of natural charcoal, lemon, mint, and zinc, and this helps whiten your teeth to strengthen them and also remove bad odor from your mouth. The charcoal white also gently polishes away tooth stains and then also gives you a naturally restored bright smile. Okay, for the herbal lovers as well, you want to try Pepsodent herbal toothpaste, which is infused with a unique blend of green tea and then also some herbal extract. It's formulated to repair and protect your gums while giving you an all-round cooling sensation. Pepsodent Herbal releases and repairs. It also protects your gums and also your gum tissues and gives you strong teeth as well. Always remember, like I said, to brush your teeth morning and night. Pepsodent has been serving Ghanaians for the past 25 years and they are always available for you. It's also recommended by the Ghana Dental Association, and if you want to talk to a dentist for free, you can call toll free 0800 161000. And then you can, of course, find Pepsodent in any size in a shop near you. With Pepsodent, every smile matters. This has been the Culture Daily Show. My name is Lenny Lomote, and I've been doing this with Silfwa, Kojo Trip, and our guest David William Nyantichi. I will not forget that. Yes, so thanks for coming, and of course, do enjoy a great day. We'll be back with the part 2 of this conversation on intellectual property next week. But while at that, enjoy the rest of our programming on 3 Music TV. Have a good day. Bye.
Culture Daily was brought to you by Telecel.